All hail a beard, it's your boy Big Beard B, and we back for another edition of Big Beard Business. If you're like me, you're really into fragrances, and a few months ago I dropped a video regarding GQ's best of, and in those videos celebrities talk about the things that they find essential, and within some of those we sometimes find some gems. Now, I dropped part one of this video back in January, I believe, or early February, and some of you asked for a part two, so here we go today. Now, first up on the list today, we have Atlanta-based rapper Mulatto. Now, some of you may know her from the Lifetime's series show, The Rap Game, but for those of you who do not, here we go, man. So obviously she is a rapper and she has an affection, an affinity for fragrances. So in her GQ series, she showed Baccarat Rouge 540 Act Straight. Yes, she said, yes, this is what I'm wearing. All right, so some of you know this fragrance as being saffron, spicy, woody, almondy, and an all-around great fragrance in the fragrance community. This one gets a lot of love. And this one comes from Maison Francis Kurkdjian, which is also not cheap at all. Now, for those of you who rock BR540, you understand that this one is made to be a unisex fragrance. But in her video, she states that BR540 smells like good and rich. I think more so what she meant was saffron, cedarwood, and almond. That's kind of what you get from that fragrance. And again, it's a big player in the world of the fragrance community. Continuing on this list, we have a heavy hitter in the music industry with Nick Jonas, who started out in the band with his brothers, the Jonas Brothers, and he has transitioned into the world of music on his own and also entering into the house of the fragrance game. Now, he said he was always into fragrances and he had an ongoing competition with two people who were close to him about who smelled better. But as you know, he has his own fragrance with John Barbados, and this could be just a ploy or a play for him to promote it. But he stated that he hooked up with John Barbados and he was like, hey man, I got this competition going on about who smells better. And he said, why don't we take it to the ultimate level and come out with your own fragrance, and therefore you will always be the winner. During the recording of that video, he had his original fragrance with him, which is lime, pepper, and bergamot. So be sure to check that fragrance out if you don't already have any collection, and that one could be found like at Dillard's and Macy's and things like that. There's also a second release for him as well, which is in a red bottle, so be sure to check both of them out. Along with musicians, there are also athletes and actors that grace the pages of GQ, and next up we have D'Angelo Russell. Now, in the series with D'Angelo Russell, he talked about smelling great, and the fragrance that he mentioned as one that he always likes to wear holds a special place in my heart. It's from Tom Ford, and it's none other than Tuscan Leather. Now, Tuscan Leather was the first fragrance that I actually did a full review on within this channel, and it was actually a gift to me from the missus. She thought it was dope. I definitely think it's dope, and a lot of people out there in the fragrance world think so as well, and obviously athletes do too. Now, Tom Ford Tuscan Leather is generally used for the fall and winter type of months, and this is this warm, spicy, manly man scent. If you ask me, there's obviously leather there, and I just feel like this one is amazing. And I think he was perfectly right when he said it smells good, add it to your collection, and that is all. And that was probably like the quickest video I ever seen of fragrance on GQ's channel. And speaking of athletes, they also brought Karl Anthony Towns in from the Minnesota Timberwolves, and he had some things to say about fragrance as well. He seemed like he was really into the fragrance game, and I don't know if it was the front or he really knew what he was talking about, but the fragrance that he really enjoyed came from Louis Vuitton, and it was Orange. He said that he was really into high-end fragrances, and I know a lot of people that are out there as well who really enjoy that niche type of fragrance feel, although Louis Vuitton isn't a niche fragrance company. The fragrance that he mentioned has patchouli, iris, vetiver, and bergamot, and it's just overall a solid fragrance in his personal opinion. He said that fragrances are an investment. Add it to your collection and enjoy it. So I think that makes perfect sense. I mean, if you're spending $255 on a fragrance, then that is definitely an investment. And then some of you, like the Decants, sell them, then you can flip your money. Who knows, man? That's different ways into the fragrance game. Whatever floats your boat. It's an investment for sure, though. It's definitely costly. Our next fragrance recommendation comes from Tyson Fury, aka the Gypsy King. Now, One, I was surprised that he was into fragrances, but I don't really know him, so I guess I really shouldn't be surprised. But outside of that, the fragrance recommendation that he gave was a banger. The fragrance house is Clive Christian, and the one that he gave was Raka. Now, for those of you who are not into fragrances, Clive Christian is a ultra expensive fragrance house, and you're gonna spend a lot to get some of their fragrances, man. If you're looking for big size bottles, full size bottles, then you know, you gotta pay to play, baby. You know, ain't no half stepping over here. All right. So he stated that it makes him feel like $1 million. Scratch that. He said it makes him smell like $1 million, and it's one of those more attractive, sexy scents. Yes, it's expensive, so you would smell like $1 million because you could possibly buy one for $1 million. Now, by some of the descriptions he was using to describe this fragrance, I could tell that it wasn't really his thing, as you know, it was calling it aftershave, and obviously Clive Christian's that setup is not an aftershave, but he fixed it, you know, like aftershave cologne. It doesn't really matter, whatever makes me smell and feel good. And I was like, yes, you are right, sir. You are definitely right, and I don't want no trouble. But no, man, all jokes aside, Clive Christian has a lot of great fragrances out there, and if you have the coin to spend it, then make sure you go ahead and do it. Now, a lot of people out there would tell you it's not worth the price, and I think you have valid arguments on both sides of the coin. Now, this next fragrance recommendation was a bit different. And when I say a bit different, I mean it wasn't a fragrance recommendation at all. No, this one came from Bobby Wagner on GQ's edition. And he stated that Palmer's cocoa butter is going to be the way to go. He said it smells so good that he does not have to wear cologne. And I was like, this is interesting. So what I'll do is I'll leave that linked and listed down below for you if you're looking to check that out. But he seemed very confident that this one was going to get you compliments. The ladies were going to like it, and it makes your skin feel smooth and soft. Now, in the first video I recorded like this, I almost included this next person in the list. He's been around in the rap game, music industry for a long time, and he's from Detroit, and it's none other than Big Sean. All right, so Big Sean was talking about the fragrance that he was into and really gave it some high accolades. So he did not know the name of it, but your boy knows the name of it, and it was Voyage de Hermes EDT. It was the Eau de Toilette version, concentration of it. It's going to be the one with the silver spinny piece and the white bottle, white clear bottle. So make sure you're checking that one out. He said, and I quote, that by wearing this fragrance, it definitely helped him close 2 additional business deals. And why? I do not know, but he did not say why, but he was very confident that that fragrance helped him close 2 business deals. So that one would be worth its weight in, I guess, business paperwork. I feel like Voyage is a bit different than some of the fragrances that are offered by Hermes, and they have a lot of fragrances that still have that niche type of feel, although they are not a niche fragrance house. It pretty much put them in line with Louis Vuitton in terms of the fragrances that they offer, but they also have that designer entry level type of fragrance as well, with a signature line, if you will, and that Voyage falls right under that. But it's really different when you compare it to some of the fragrances they offer, like Terre de Hermes and that whole Terre de Hermes flanker setup. That one's a little bit different. So again, that one's tea, it's musk, it's nice. Now, Smoke Perp brings us our next fragrance on today's list, and I think this one was a bit different because he talked about the fragrances that he wore in the past, which were filled with the likes of things like Creed, and a lot of you would not expect that this fragrance has dethroned Creed's Aventus as his fragrance of choice. And this one comes from YSL. Yes, this one is none other than Little Homie, aka L'Homme. Yeah, man, Little Homie has dethroned Creed Aventus for Smoke Perp. All right, so in that video, he talked about mixing things up and liking to change fragrances. And he talked about other fragrances that he's worn in the past. But at this time, at least at the time of filming that video, he was into L'Homme. Now, if you've been to any fragrance store, then you've probably seen L'Homme being around any big box department stores, Sephora, Ulta, Macy's, Dillard's, anything like that. You've probably seen L'Homme. Now, L'Homme was a heavy hitter back in the day, as it was like one of the best fragrances that you could wear if you were going into a big box department store. Now, it's still a really good fragrance overall. It doesn't have the best performance and longevity, but it's birthed a ton of other fragrances that have done really well. So you have L'Homme Ultime, you have L'Homme Intense, you have L'Homme Parfum, you have La Nuit de L'Homme, and the list goes on. So, or even Eau Electrique. I don't talk about that one much, but I do have it in my collection. So there are a ton of different fragrance flankers from L'Homme, and I think that's a good catch-all fragrance. So if you're wearing it casually, out and about, if you had a business meeting, you were going on to a date, or if you just wanted to wear something that made you feel cozy, that one would work. So Smoke Perp is bringing you Loam. Now, if you're into music in today's world, then you likely know who Smoke Perp is, especially if you're into hip-hop. But this next one has also created a lot of hits for some big artists out there like Drake, Future, Meek Mill, etc. And this one is Murder Beats. Now, Murder Beats came out and stated that his fragrance of choice comes from YSL as well. But this one is on the exclusive side. So you have the entry designer series or the signature line, which you have Loam, Mulatto, Loam, and things like that. Or even Y and YEDT or EDP or Fresh. You see where I'm going with that. But this one here is the exclusive line where you're going to pay a bit more for those, right? So you're going to pay like $250 and up for these if you were going to the boutiques, or if you can catch them inside of a luxury department store. The one that he fancies or chooses to wear is Velvet. Now, for the purposes of this video, that is the simple name of this fragrance. It's a really long French name that goes along with it, but here's what you need to know. Velvet is this woody, vanilla, velvety type of fragrance with darkness, and it has woods in it as well. And I think that when I hear him talk about this fragrance, it was kind of like one and done, love at first sniff. So he stated that he wasn't really into fragrances, and his mom used to buy him fragrances as a kid, but as an adult he was introduced to this fragrance by a friend, and it's been his signature scent ever since. So for someone who makes all of that money and only chooses to use one fragrance, and it has to say something, either he has sucky choice of fragrances or it smells really good, and I'm going to lean to the second side of that. Also, some of the standout fragrances from the exclusive series that YSL offers is Tuxedo. That one is a staple in the fragrance community, as a lot of people talk about it, and it has done well. Now, Austin Rivers concludes part 2 of the list of best fragrance recommendations of 10 things I can't live without from GQ, and this fragrance may shock you. Now, he said something that made perfect sense why he was presenting this fragrance. Although some of you may not have heard of this fragrance, pretty much what he said, it's best to buy and wear a fragrance that no one is wearing, therefore you will not smell like anyone else. So he said when he goes to department stores and looks for fragrances, he could spend hours sniffing and smelling, which sounds like a lot of us fragrance guys out there. So I think he's heavy into it. He also had a list of other fragrances that he prefers, but this one was his favorite at the time. And the fragrance he was discussing is Bullion. Now, this one comes from Byredo, and Byredo is an exclusive fragrance house. It's difficult to find them if you're not in a major market or if you don't know what to look for. Bullion has black plum, pink pepper, and it also has a leather accord, amongst a bunch of other notes. Now, obviously, I've talked about Byredo on this channel before with some of the other fragrances that they have to offer, like Mojave Ghost, and the list goes on. So, there you have it, man. That is GQ Part 2. Top 10 fragrances from the best of series of 10 things I can't live without. Comment down below and let me know of any fragrances that you cannot live without. That one was hard to find, man. I went through a lot of videos, and some of those were repeats of others, and it was difficult to extract this list of fragrances. I might have to do something else. So there you have it, man. As always, I'm your boy, Big B. Beat 'em, hit the like, comment, and subscribe. Tell a friend that we are back again. And you already know what to do. Be like GQ and hit the goddamn bell.